Good morning and welcome to the Cohen Group Northwest studio. Today is Wednesday, and that means it's time for this week's market update. And I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Lyndsey Reimer. She is a loan officer right here at Umpqua Bank. Thank you so much for coming out today.
Thanks for having me.
Lyndsey's going to be offering some advice and perspective for buyers who are fighting to win in this market, maybe have been losing out on some offers. They've been seeing their buying power evaporate slowly with rising interest rates, and you work with a lot of buyer clients. And what sorts of things are you seeing?
Yeah, I just want to kind of touch a little bit on buyer fatigue.
Yeah.
Obviously the market has been crazy these last couple of years, and there are still people out there that are fighting to find the perfect home with the ever-changing mortgage environment. And so I just have seen a lot of buyer fatigue. I think we're feeling it on the lending side, and real estate agents are feeling it as well. So I just think that it's a good time to kind of regroup and chat a little bit about what people can do that are either just entering the market or have been in the market for a while and are feeling that fatigue and really wanting to kind of refresh things. So the first thing that I would like to touch on would be keeping your goals and everything in perspective. Having a really good idea as to like what to expect when you enter the market.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge thing, your attitude and then perspective as soon as you start, and just understanding that it's not an easy process. It's not going to happen overnight. You will probably write a lot of offers, throwing a lot of spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, and being okay with that and not letting that, be too disheartening and get you down. And so just having the right perspective and attitude heading into it, I think is a huge thing. So.
And maybe to that flexibility of like, how wide am I willing to search? What criteria really, really matter in that moment of buying a house versus what are the ideal situations that we might not get?
Yeah, that kind of rolls into a little bit of the next one, which would be setting the right expectations. So, I think that as clients sit down and meet with, their real estate agent and their loan officers, and just really understanding like what to expect out of each stage of the process, and how long it could potentially take. Like I said, I've had clients that worked probably this whole last year, finding property they love, writing an offer, deciding to take a break, doing different things. And just really like making sure that that, this won't be an overnight thing. And for some people, it still is, it's still just all over the place.
It is.
Which is interesting. We've been talking about this, we have weekly meetings as well as a group. And, some people are not writing because they're afraid that so many offers will come in, so they don't pull the trigger. And then that one lucky person who did write is getting the home.
Yep.
So
we've seen that too.
It's just, I think, just knowing what to expect and laying a good game plan as you head out into the market is probably like the second key piece of making sure that you know what to expect.
Yeah. Where you're like, I'm going to bulletproof my emotions.
Exactly.
We are attacking each house that fits our criteria.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. So, and then the third thing would be communicating with your lender and your real estate agent. We're a team.
Yes, we are.
The whole point of like us all getting together and everything that we're doing is to find you a home. So in order for us to be able to do that, we need you to communicate with us, like how you're feeling, if you're stressed out, or if there's, say you go see a home and you write an offer and it doesn't get accepted. That's a great time to kind of regroup, and you can ask your agent because they probably are able to get some good inside information on other offers that were sent in, what offer was accepted, and then what can you possibly do to make any changes to what you did moving forward. I love strategy sessions. My favorite thing is, sitting down with clients, sitting down with a real estate agent. A lot of the agents that I work with, we'll get down together and we'll just sit and maybe have a bite to eat or, grab a coffee or a drink or whatever it is, and invite the clients to come too and make a much more like impersonal, or not impersonal, informal, kind of thing where we're just chatting about like, what are your goals? What are your plans? What do you feel comfortable with? And then having all of these conversations from the get-go.
Right. I love that too, because then the real estate jargon and the mortgage jargon can kind of be hashed out together.
Yep.
Because as brokers, as mortgage brokers and as real estate brokers, we use some of the same lingo that our clients don't use. And so if the poor client is having to go to you and talk and then come and explain to me what you said to them, it can get a little tricky sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I always love, you know, before an offer's going in, having a chat with the real estate agent, like, what are you thinking? You know, have you gotten any feedback from the listing agent? And then just having an honest conversation about what can happen, you know, what I'm seeing on the lending side, what I've seen, you know, in the market, you know, touching base on appraisal turn times and how quickly can we close, where our underwriting turn times, all of that stuff is super important when you're putting together the offer and, you know, trying to be as strong as possible. So
exactly.
Yeah, communication is absolutely
really
key.
a game of inches. We're like, okay, can we nudge up closing 4 days?
Exactly.
Can we maybe make that work?
And sometimes 3.5 versus 4 weeks is a big deal for the seller. You know, maybe they have things that they need to do or take care of, or maybe they have their eye on their next home. And, you know, in order for all those dominoes to fall into place, they have to close by a certain date. And if you can make that happen, then your offer looks that much more attractive than this other person. So I think that's, just a huge key piece is the communication and being honest throughout the whole process.
Yeah. And you're such a critical component there, because as a broker, we can suggest, hey, you might need to escalate X number of $1,000s over list. But what does that mean for your loan structure if you're now 10% down instead of a 15% down, or whatever those tiers look like? And your interest rate might change, your PMI might change, or whatever those situations are that I'm not licensed to talk about.
Exactly. No, for sure. And that kind of rolls into my next point is being strategic. So, you know, all those pieces are super important when you're trying to make the strongest offer possible. And, you know, we've seen a lot of clients that maybe are getting maybe gift funds from family, or, you know, they've been working their butts off and have saved some money, and they want to know how they can best allocate that. And sometimes putting more towards the down payment isn't always the answer. You know, maybe you look at buying down points and what does that do for your overall profile? If you need to save some money for a low appraisal, you know, how do you kind of strategically move those funds around to still keep your payment in the range where, you know, you guys feel comfortable? So, you know, just understand, like, you know, what can you really do to just hit a home run? And so the strategy side of things is super important as well. And that's another piece where the communication and all of that, you know, kind of comes together, and, you know, just having an honest conversation about your comfort level and what you wanted, it is super, super important. So then the last piece would be take a break. Don't let yourself get so burnt out that you're no longer excited about the process. Buying a home is a huge deal. You know, it is by far the biggest, and probably one of the best purchases you'll ever make. You know, this is a great way for families, you know, especially, you know, like middle-class families, to earn generational wealth. You know, I can't tell you how many people that I've worked with in 2020 that now have built up $50, $60, $100,000 in equity in a couple of years. Game changer. And we don't see those kind of returns typically, you know, on an investment or anything like that, you know, unless you hold it for a much longer period of time. And so, you know, we've seen pretty crazy appreciation, especially here in Whatcom County. I think that there is anyone who could argue right now that real estate is a bad investment. You know, I just think that you really need to kind of just like take a breather if you need it, and reevaluate and kind of look where you're at. And that might circle back to, hey, let's get back together with my lender and my real estate agent and let them know, like, hey guys, I'm feeling real tired. Submitted 6 offers and I'm not winning. And like, you know, is there anything else I can be doing? You know, how are the numbers looking? Do you have any idea where the market's going? Which is always a fun question.
The crystal ball.
Exactly. I wish
little
I had
cloudy.
A crystal ball. That'd be amazing. But yeah, I mean, this first quarter has shown us anything. It's that, you know, there's nothing that's really guaranteed, and we just kind of have to roll with the punches and, you know, just be on top of things as much as possible. So just be honest with yourself. And, you know, if you need to take a couple months off and regroup and then come back, and maybe that allows you time to save more money, or, you know, maybe you're looking at picking up a new job or doing something else. I mean, who knows? I mean, there could be things that are going on in your life or changes that you could make in order to kind of bring a new, fresh perspective to, you know, your home search and what you're doing. So
absolutely. Because at the end of the day, our housing choices should fit into our lives. And if we're in the housing search for X number of months, you're kind of either waiting on decisions or making decisions based on that housing choice. And at the end of the day, it does need to fit into what your life looks like, what every person's individual plans and goals are for their future and where they want to live. And sometimes it means you have to take a roundabout way to get there, but it's always worth it in the end.
Yeah, I agree. And we were talking about this before, you always need a place to live. So it's really just being honest with yourself and, hey, I'm paying rent at this much a month. And, and that that's going obviously to pay someone else's mortgage. So you have to look at that, your current situation and what you're trying to do, and just, have a conversation with yourself and really kind of get on the same page and with yourself and, maybe your significant other, whoever might be buying the house with you, and just, hey, we're doing this. This is why we're doing this. Maybe we want more space for our family, or you have dogs and you want a fenced-in backyard, or you want a garden, or whatever it might be. But there's a reason why you stepped into the process in the first place. And sometimes taking a break to reevaluate and kind of go back to your why is a great idea to just kind of get a fresh start and kind of reinvigorate your passion for why you decided to purchase a home in the first place.
Now, for those who are watching this and going, okay, I've never met Lyndsey before. She seems awesome. She seems really compassionate. She seems really knowledgeable and competent. What's the best way for people to get in touch with you if they have questions about their own home search?
I love chatting on the phone. I love meeting people in person. We can do stuff online and pretty much whatever. I mean, if you want a coffee shop, whatever it might be, I just enjoy the conversation. I like to get to know people. I start with the why, why are you here? Why do you want to buy a home? And that's kind of where I get the ball rolling anyway. It just gives me a chance to get to know people a little bit better and see how I can help. Because I know there's a lot of options out there, but I really love the opportunity to just get a chance to know my clients and, see how I can be of service.
Wonderful. Well, thanks, Lyndsey, so much for coming on the weekly market update this week, and stay tuned for next Wednesday for next week's weekly market update.